Hey everyone, Andre here, along with Tom, Tris, and TJ to finally give our 48-hour post-impressions of the Nintendo Direct. We were still busy after it. We didn't have time to do our usual discussion, but we're doing it now. We've had time to fully process it. And I don't know about you guys, I feel a little bit differently than I did during the stream. I've had more time to process it. I'm more excited about some things, a little bit less excited about others. I'm curious to see if how everyone else is feeling here, if your thoughts have changed at all. So let's just do a quick, super quick, top-level summary of what we think. I'm talking like 10 seconds most. Tris, how are you feeling overall about the Direct 2 days later?
It was pretty good. There were some great things in here, not quite as strong as the last few.
Okay, so that sounds like it has changed for you. Tom, how are you feeling?
I felt like there's a lot of big announcements, nothing major, but it was nonstop for me at the beginning for sure.
Yeah. How about you, TJ?
I definitely enjoyed it. Got a lot of different titles, a lot of things new coming in. Definitely excited for some stuff, but there's also some things that I just feel like kind of went without saying.
Oh, like, what, any examples?
Like, we didn't get really much on, say, like, more like the actual tactics side of Fire Emblem, for example.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, so it seems like we all have like different thoughts, perhaps. I know in the moment I was really enjoying it, and I still think it was a really good direct. But like afterward, once I had time to process some of those announcements, I'm like, I don't know about that. So whereas others, I'm like, hell yeah, give me more of that. So I figured what might be fun is if we started off, we've categorized some of our favorite and most surprising announcements. We have multiple categories here. Yeah, we'll see what we touch on and whatever we don't touch on, we'll address separately. But then we can just talk about these games as we go through them. So, Tris, I'll start off with you.
Sure.
What was your favorite overall announcement from Nintendo Direct?
Probably comes as no surprise, but my favorite announcement really was the Mario Kart DLC, especially since that's obviously what I've been covering so much of the last few days.
Yeah, you've done a lot of videos.
This has been so unexpected. I mean, even Andre, even you, who for a while have been saying you think we could still see Mario Kart DLC, did not see this much coming. And
I did not, yes.
the fact that they're willing to support Mario Kart 8 this much, I think, is fantastic. And it's really exciting because it's such a good game, and the fact that it's getting double the amount of content, or course-wise, it's really exciting, and that was definitely my favorite there. If it was just DLC, like, you know, two new cups or whatever, okay, fine. But to that degree, no, that definitely became my favorite as someone who actively still plays a lot of Mario Kart.
Nice. All right. Well, this might be a good time then maybe to talk about Mario Kart since that is a big announcement. Was that anyone else's favorite announcement here? No.
It
Okay.
was up
It was
there.
close.
It was
close.
All right. So yeah, this one totally caught me by surprise. I did not, or which is funny because I predicted Mario Kart 8 DLC in our 2022 predictions, but those darn freaking Mario Kart 9 and 10 rumors or whatever threw me off. Like it kind of tripped me up. I'm like, all right, maybe that is happening sooner than I thought, even though I wasn't expecting it. But no, it ended up being we did get Mario Kart 8 DLC. 48 tracks is an absurd amount. That leaves us with what, 96 tracks in total now in the game?
Yep.
That is nuts. Like that is a ridiculous amount of content for a Mario Kart game. That is awesome. Like I was so hyped to see that just because they're effectively in a way doubling the game, and that's really cool. Did not see that coming. However, looking back on now, I didn't quite. I think I picked up on it a little bit in the moment, but I was so excited I didn't really focus on it. I didn't realize just how unchanged some of those tracks appear, and they stand in stark contrast to the existing tracks of the game. The existing tracks are universally beautiful. They are amazing. They are still some of the best looking games on Switch. These new ones, not quite. They look simplistic by comparison. Like whereas you have tracks like from the Super NES era that have been lovingly revisited in 3D, these do look like their source material, which I find to be a little jarring now, and that actually has reduced my hype a fair amount.
I don't know if I'd say they look like the source material. Having done that comparison and remembering just how not very good Mario Kart DS and 7 even hold up at times, some of the courses definitely look on par with like Tour on mobile, which comparatively, you know, not looking them side by side, you might think they look pretty similar. But I was actually kind of surprised looking back at how much the Tour models look pretty updated, and especially if they're higher poly and they do good lighting. They can look nice, but nowhere near as nice or even comparable to the main tracks that are in Mario Kart 8. Which, I guess, to get this many it kind of makes sense that they're not as nice. I imagine the file size would like triple on the game if they did that many. It's a little disappointing, but I think Mario Kart's more about the gameplay than it is the nice visuals. This is not the Mario Kart game with a photo mode after all. So, I guess there could be with the Mario Kart TV feature, but like nobody uses. But yeah, there's obviously it's a little disappointing that the courses look a little plasticky. I guess is the best way to put it. But I am excited that we're getting a large variety of courses to play on that should still make it really fun and also remove a lot of the repetition from online.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean I'm so excited. Like I don't want to dampen my enthusiasm too much, but I'm really excited for the extra content. I guess for me, I would prefer a different balance. Like I will be like 48 tracks is almost an absurd amount. I don't need 48 new tracks. I would be happy with half the amount if they put in as much effort into their visual appearance as they did for the rest of the game's tracks. And I would be completely content with that. So I think it's more that it's not even so much Triss that like the visuals aren't as good. It's that they're completely at odds with the rest of the game's art style.
Yeah.
And it's that jarring, and I find that to be a little jarring. So that's what trips me up a bit. But
yeah,
overall, I'm still excited for it. And the price is super good. Like the price is really fair. 50 cents per track essentially if you buy it by itself, or free if you have the expansion pack. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth the money you're getting, I think. And I think it'll be worth it for the gameplay and all. It's just obviously it's fair to have higher expectations to at least match the rest of the boards. Mm-hmm. Ironically enough, I think they work for the Mario style, and I think it kind of made me realize just how realistic Mario Kart 8's levels actually look and how detailed they are, which I remembered back in the day, but nowadays it kind of the thought goes to the back of your head, even leaves, and then now that you see these, like, oh wow, wait a minute, they were really detailed, weren't they?
More importantly too is I think, well, actually real quick before we get to it, Tom, how are you feeling about the Mario Kart DLC? Because I know you never really got super into the newest Mario Kart, I think.
No, because
so
I
lose
lose
anything
all the
about
time,
it?
But no, with the old tracks, though, I think it'll depend on what they actually look like in motion. Like maybe in motion, when we're playing it in the moment, we won't notice as much. I know with Cloud Top Cruise, like I forget how detailed it is. Seeing the like sort of screenshots compared to actually playing it. It's like a second launch, so I'm hyped to get back into Mario Kart and hopefully get my friends back into playing it too. So that's something I am looking forward to.
Do those friends include you, TJ? Will you be playing Mario Kart?
I definitely will be playing Mario Kart. I've had a countless summers actually, where me and Triss have just spent weeks at a time going hard at Mario Kart. It'll be really nice to see sort of that happening again, except spread out. I do like that they are spreading it out a bit, because it's a lot of tracks. It's kind of overwhelming to think of at first just how much we're getting.
It's a lot. I didn't expect that many tracks at all, like I said. But one of the interesting side effects, I suppose, of this DLC is the fact that, well, a couple of things. One, it basically cements Mario Kart Tour as like a mainline game. Like they're lifting tracks from it for this, and it seems to like kind of end the conversation of whether it was Mario Kart 9 or considered internally Mario Kart 9. But the other thing is that given how much DLC we're getting, Nintendo announced it'll be out, all of it will be out by the end of 2023, which is about 2 years away, effectively.
Yep.
Which means we're probably going to see a new Mario Kart before then, and I think and it sounds like that's disappointing a lot of people. For myself, I'm not too concerned. I wasn't expecting it till the next generation of hardware anyway. But
right.
How about everyone here? Does anyone feel differently about that?
I'm right there with you, honestly, because I as neat as it was to speculate on a brand new Mario Kart happening and rumors even indicating it could be happening sooner than not, I'm actually kind of happy with this because it gives more breathing room. I guess more breathing room for the best-selling title on Switch ever and Mario Kart ever to really let everyone that's bought it get new enjoyment out of it, and also finally adding something that'll entice people that maybe had it on Wii U to actually have more fun with it, or even people that to come back to it after 5 years. And I think this is kind of what people have wanted originally with Mario Kart Deluxe. People wanted to see Mario Kart Deluxe get supported through the Switch's lifespan. Well, now we're kind of getting that, and now is when people are like, wait a minute, no, this isn't what I wanted, and there's a little bit of a back and forth there. So it's a little ironic, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's what do you make of it, Tom?
It's just been so long. At this point, people just sort of expect a sequel, but I think that's just not going to happen until we get a new, more powerful Switch or new platform for some new gimmicks. Like, I can see where you guys are at, though, where if there was a new gimmick in a new mechanic in the next Mario Kart, that's probably a lot more interesting than the more tracks. But I mean, there's going to be so many more tracks in there to get to master them all over again and get used to them. I think it'll tide us over.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it does a great job of filling the gap there for... I'm just really surprised it took this long, you know? Why wasn't this announced years ago? Because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is almost 5 years old at this point, so it is really, despite me predicting it, it's still somehow surprising that they went back to this game to add content. Maybe they saw that, like, hey, there's other kart racing games coming out. We want a piece of that pie, you know? We don't want Disney and Squaresoft to dominate the space for the next few years.
One thing I thought would have been hilarious if they committed to putting all the Mario tracks ever into the game and did every track is here trailer.
They're actually super. Yes, they do. They need every track is here needs to be a thing. I mean, they're so close. I was doing the math loosely, and I think they're only missing like somewhere around a dozen tracks, maybe.
Yeah, I was
Maybe
trying to do the math as well. I'm like on the side. I have other projects that I need to do first, but I do have a speculation / analysis going over like what we can expect to see from the rest of the rest of this booster course pass. And this should give us majority of the tracks. I don't have an exact number yet as to like how many are missing, because it kind of depends on like maybe they won't do all the SNES tracks, for example. But it should honestly give us a vast majority of them, which is great.
Yeah, it is. One thing I was hoping for that I had predicted in my 2022 predictions that didn't happen here, though, is I thought they would go beyond just adding new tracks. New characters would be nice. I've seen some people asking for those, but what I'm really talking about is something that changes the game. Whether a new item, or as I predicted, hopefully a new mode. Like a Double Dash mode to completely change how these tracks are played. So that's one drawback, is that, yes, the new tracks are awesome, I'm excited for them, but the core gameplay isn't changing at all. It's the same exact Mario Kart 8 we've been playing for almost 10 years at this point.
As far as we know.
Do you think there might be more on the way?
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely agree with you on that point that it's a lot of the same. I'm definitely really excited because just the tracks in general, it's gonna be a ton of fun. But I feel like there's like a couple of more glaring problems with 8, at least for me, where like sometimes the item spawns are just way too much. You have like 5 bullet bills in the map or a bunch of people with stars, so it doesn't matter what's going on. Yeah. Well, and I can't imagine that with these new stages they're really gonna look to change the balance of the items or even the characters. I mean, you probably log in and see like at least 6 Waluigis a room, all on the same cart, same wheels.
Are you complaining about there being too many Waluigis, TJ?
I mean, it doesn't have to be Waluigi. You could always pick Donkey Kong. It's the same stats.
Yeah, it's definitely also a case of the reason why I say as far as we know is because back in the day, you know, when it was just 2 DLC packs of Mario Kart 8, 200cc was a free update with DLC pack 2, and there was no indication that was coming. They're gonna have to update the game each time a wave of DLC hits. So we don't know for certain that they won't do something for free in addition to the DLC wave hitting. Sure, people that buy the DLC pass or have access to the DLC pass will get access to their DLC as soon as that update hits, but there might also be something that others can do with from said update. Maybe they'll just mess around with balancing, maybe they'll actually add something. And we know 8 Deluxe isn't afraid to do free updates with content because of the various Labo updates, but also the Breath of the Wild update, where they added Breath of the Wild Link as an alt for Link, and then like the Master Cycle Zero and some other cart parts with it. Mm-hmm. We know they're not afraid to do that for free, and it would be interesting to see if they do. Now, this isn't to say they're going to, but it's a matter of there's precedence for it in the past, so I wouldn't immediately count it out. I just don't think it's something to expect.
I think, yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't based on the fact they didn't show it. I think if they were planning something that to that degree, they would have shown it because it's another point toward buying the DLC. So the
Right.
fact that it didn't, I think, suggests to me that all we're getting are the tracks. Um, and one slight drawback too about this. Well, so actually, I have a couple thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts about this. One is the fact, a point I've seen people bring up in the chat is that all these returning tracks. Tris, you took a look at it. None of
Yep.
them are using the anti-gravity mechanics, right?
Not of the 8 that we saw, no, because Tor does not have the 8 or does not have the anti-grav mechanic from 8, and most of the tracks that are coming back right now that we've seen are from Tor.
Yeah, well, I mean, no other game you had anti-gravity besides 8, but they still
Right.
went back and added anti-gravity to some of those previous tracks, like Toad's Turnpike, where you can go up along the wall now. And is that disappointing that, like, it's potentially, let's say all the DLC follows is in the same vein. That means half of this game tracks won't be making use of a central mechanic of the game.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, honestly. If that ends up being the case of no anti-grav, I guess you could take that to mean that they don't plan to revisit it in the future, if that's what ends up happening.
That's something, right? I didn't even think about
But
that.
it would be nice if they even just modify some sections. Like, even if they're porting a track directly from Tor, just modify a section to account for anti-grav just so we can make use of that mechanic. Now, I know, to kind of work with what you're saying too, everyone's kind of up in arms about the fact that, all these courses are the Tor versions. Well, yes and no. Of the 8 coming in March, 3 of them are directly from Tor, and a couple more are taking the redesigns used in Tor. 2 of them haven't even come to Tor yet. By their visuals, maybe they will, but that's just one wave.
Right.
Yes, we can take a look at that one and say, oh, the rest might also come from Tor or be inspired or pull from the development of Tor, but they don't all have to be. That's the thing. There could totally be more that they pull from, or like wacky levels that they decide to completely shake up to fit with Mario Kart 8's formula. We have no idea what they have planned. This is just the first wave of it all. There's still 40 more courses after these 8 out.
Oh my god, there is an absurd amount. I do wonder if they, when you play online, I hope that I might say that, I might eat these words, that they balance the new tracks to pop up a little bit more frequently in the random selection. Otherwise, it may be hard to see these new tracks because, I mean, if they dumped all 48 at a time, that wouldn't be an issue, but they're not. And these are just going to be 8 tracks among 48 others right now. So I wonder if they may adjust the balance earlier on just so we can see them more frequently.
That would be nice. That would be nice to just better incorporate them into the whole online setting. And that's, I mean, the original Mario Kart 8 was really annoying about that because when they released DLC, they divided the online user base between did you have did you have all the DLC?
Forgot about that.
Did you have one or the second, or did you have none? And they better not do that again this time. That was annoying.
That was annoying. All right, we got a couple super chats, by the way, we need to get through here. Some higher ones. Rafe Alfaro with $10. Thank you, Rafe. Says, hi, guys. Do you think Mario Kart 8 DLC will heavily rely on Mario Kart Tour tracks, including the retro tracks in that game? Or will we see some never-before-released tracks like Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64? Cheers.
I think we could definitely see some of the tracks that haven't been retro tracks before, even if they also end up coming to Tour at the same time. I think it's the same teams developing them is the thing. So they could absolutely kind of keep their development parallel with each other and actually do that. But it would be really nice to see some that don't end up coming to Tour get added here. So it doesn't feel like they're, keeping them exactly the same. I guess we'll find out if Coconut Mall and Shroom Ridge come to Tour soon.
That's true. Any other thoughts?
I think it would lean heavily towards Tour, but always open more things. And I mean, we got Big Blue in DLC at one point. I mean, who knows if they might actually just surprise us with something else. That would be nice at the end. Like, especially if they did. Who knows? Nintendo always loves surprise, but yeah, probably mostly Tour.
Another super chat from Kyle Denson for $5. Thank you, Kyle, who says, a Diddy Kong Racing pack with characters and cards based off that would be cool. Hey, at this point, if we don't get a proper sequel, sure, I'll take that. Why not? Get Timber the Tiger back? That'd be amazing.
It would be funny if we got a Diddy. It'd be funny if we got a Diddy Kong Racing pack and it didn't have Diddy, who isn't in 8 yet.
That'd be amazing. Tom, yes, let's get some tracks in there. Future Funland, there we go. That's a great one. So they actually could work pretty well with Mario Kart 8's mechanics, especially like they could do some cool anti-gravity stuff, I think, in those space levels. So
Yeah.
all right, let's go and move on. We've been talking about Mario Kart for a while, and that's an old game. Tom, let's move on to you. What was your favorite announcement of the Nintendo Direct?
Okay, my favorite announcement. I had like a smaller favorite announcement being Taiko no Tatsujin, just to see that. I'm like, I will secretly love this. Well, very few other people care. And the drum game that I love playing in arcades in Japan. I would say the big nice one for me was Strikers Battle League. Just seeing that there. Just it's been a long time. Like, what is it saying? 15 years or something? So
I think so.
Yep, 15.
Even though it's probably next level games making on it, and I was hoping they'd be doing something completely new, at least we're getting this quickly compared to like the Luigi's Mansion 3, that taking a while. And it's going to have a ton of online in it. Thinking about it, it's going to be a different dynamic, like how many different players can join in on a match. Just seeing the violence of their soccer and stuff and how zany it is. It's just really good memories for me. So
Really good memories of slamming Peach into that electrified barrier. So good. Yeah, this one was also my favorite announcement. So thanks for beating me to it, Tom.
no problem, Andre.
It was such a surprise. Like, I actually did not see this one coming. I loved it. I was a huge fan of Strikers, especially on the GameCube. Less so the Wii one. And it seems like this one seems to be taking more cues from the original rather than the sequel, which I appreciate because that one just felt like a truer, like just more. Just a better balanced experience, but I like some of the new stuff they're doing too. A little concerned about the gear, just because that could add a level of minutia I just don't care about. Like in Mario Kart, I don't care about part selection. So this is something that maybe something I'm not too keen on. Otherwise, it's looking brilliant. I love the what were they called? The Hyper Strikes, where you get the super cool art style that looks like the box art for the games.
Yeah.
What a great way of incorporating that. And the just the fact that the team captain role seems to be gone effectively, where now you can have the entire any Mario cast on any team, so you're not stuck with Mario and a bunch of generics, like a bunch of Shy Guys or whatever. So I'm loving everything about this, like it, and I'm glad to see. On the one hand, Tom, I agree with you. Like, it would be awesome to see something brand new from Next Level Games. On the other hand, I'd almost given up hope for ever seeing Mario Strikers again. So it's nice to see them back at the helm, seemingly, of a new game in the series.
Yeah, they do a great job, and I'm just gonna hope the hyper strikes don't kill me again. Like the scoring 2 goals at once. Hopefully they're a bit harder for people to pull off this time around.
Well, that's why I'm so glad they moved away from the Wii mechanics, because you could get like 7 goals at once in that game or something absurd like that.
I'm glad it's only 2. I'm glad it's only 2. I have a chance against you, basically, is what I'm saying.
Now that it's like, well, I guess with Charged was online too, but we'll be playing this one online even more so, I imagine, than we did with Charged. I barely even played that one online, so.
The Wii Online was very mixed.
Yes, it was in general. That was back in the GameSpy days, I believe, right? When the GameSpy was providing the infrastructure of Nintendo Online. So,
oh boy.
TJ, how do you feel about Mario Strikers? Are you excited for it, or do you not care?
Yeah, I mean, I've not played much Mario Strikers in the past. I did like a little bit of, I think the GameCube one it was. I wasn't expecting it, and it does look like a ton of fun. I think the most exciting part for me is the fact that they're doing like a whole 8-player mode. I can't wait to see what extreme chaos that strikes onto the field.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be nuts. I'm so excited for that, and that's local and online. I love that. So, because I believe it only supported 4 players before at a time, so that's gonna be so great. And I think online even, I think you can only have 2 different consoles. So yeah. I wonder they'll have. I guess I probably won't have that same limit online. So yeah, I can't wait. Any concerns for Strikers though? Like, did anything stand out to you as being, I don't know about that? Or
at the moment, I'm a little hesitant about the change in how the roster is handled. Where now, instead of team captains and then also like a whole slew of Mario enemies to be like your allies or like your the sidekicks, it's just the team captains or the characters can play any role now. So I'm a little worried about the roster feeling smaller comparatively to the past 2 games.
Because it actually is, yeah, it is smaller so far. If you
Yeah.
count on secondary characters, there are less characters in this one from what we've seen, assuming that's all that's available at launch, which
Yeah.
may not be. So
That's why I'm hoping that there'll be a lot more, and even if it takes the Camelot games of tennis and golf approach of adding more characters over time, over like 6 months or something like that, it would be nice to get a bunch of characters, whether it's new characters like Pauline, since we now have Rosalina in this, or other returning characters like Hammerbro and Monty Mole from the previous one.
yeah, all I need are my Shy Guys. Just give me my Shy Guys. That's all I
Yes.
care about.
Yes, we need the Shy Guys.
I have a couple concerns with the lack of Kremlins and potentially Waluigi animations. But
I had to include the animation in my analysis. I had to fit it in there somewhere.
something that'd be cool though. Like, wasn't there a huge Bowser that would appear on the field that like kind of turned the tide before?
In the
If
first
that
one.
was like a Fury Bowser in this one.
Ooh.
Oh, I love the idea. I don't even care if the fact that I don't even care if Bowser's already playable. Just throw in Fury Bowser as like a clone or something.
Yeah,
That'd be amazing. That'd be great.
you've had Bowser against Giga Bowser in the past. I mean, they could do it.
You just do like a
That's true.
Mario Sunshine, Ink Bowser, Fury Bowser.
Exactly.
Cat
There,
Bowser.
there should be a bathtub themed stage, themed arena, half bathtub, half.
It's just water
other
polo.
bathtub.
It's the water polo mode.
Yeah. By the way, I it's funny because it's pretty obvious, but I didn't realize it until like really going back through the trailer and like processing what I was seeing. The fact that every arena is actually two with like two halves coming together to form a single whole, it's such a unique idea. Like I love that. Like not only does it make it a little bit easier just to keep track of what goal you're aiming for or which one not to aim for, as it may be, but also like it's just a neat thematic thing. It's like, yeah, these are the two halves. These two sides represent your team, and I love that. Like that's such a neat idea, and it actually reminds me of PlayStation All Stars, where it would combine two different, I think, IPs into a single stage. So that's just kind of like a neat way of tying it all together here, I think, that I don't recall seeing in a sports game before.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting way to tie things together. It almost reminds me of the thing that Smash does, where you can nowadays where you can kind of transfer between two different stages.
True, yeah.
Not quite the same, but it would be interesting to see if it actually worked like that too, where instead of just dividing it in half, if it could be like a full stage and then halfway through or something, it changes to another one. Maybe there's obstacles. But yeah, I really do like the idea of a bunch of different stages, and at the moment, from what we've seen, themed to different characters.
I mean, you did bring up an interesting point there, if even accidentally, is that we haven't seen much it doesn't seem to affect the gameplay at all.
Yeah.
There don't appear to be any core-specific hazards. It's possible they were turned off. Maybe they actually are there. There is a fine line between having, cool course hazards and between it just being really freaking annoying. So,
Yeah.
In the Mario Chart or the Mario Strikers games, the first one in particular, I don't think it had any gameplay differences between stages. I believe, I could be misremembering, I think Charge did introduce that though.
Yes.
Like I specifically remember the flying cows or whatever in the tornado stage. Whatever it was that would
Yes.
fly by. And those could interact with the match, I think. So I am curious if they may have any elements of that nature here.
Yeah, the one that stands out to me, the one you mentioned with like the cows and tractors flying through, is definitely one that stands out. But the other one that stands out to me from Strikers Charged is it's like Crystal Canyon or something like that. And every round, so like after a goal was scored and then everyone goes back, every round at least one character on both teams would get vaporized, and that was so
Okay.
dark. I kind of hope they don't do that again. That was a bit much for a
So wait,
Mario game.
were you just down the teammate then the entire
Yes.
match? Okay,
It can even be it can even be the team captains too. Like
I love
there
that.
was no warning who it could be, and you would they get like zapped. They're like on fire, and they just vaporize. Like, wow, that's dark for Mario.
That is dark. Well, and I guess kind of related, Ian Bose brings up the point that I think the crowd could throw things onto the pitch too, which I don't remember that. It's been so long since I played Charged, but it's funny you bring that up because there actually may be an element of that, at least so far in Battle League, because at one point in the analysis I point out we actually see an item box pop onto the field, which might be a way,
nice.
at least a way of how you get an item, if not the only way to get items this time. But someone else pointed out that I actually overlooked this fact. You can actually see an audience member holding an item box too at some point, seemingly suggesting they're the ones throwing it out onto the field. So
That's
I
fun.
wonder. So what might be really cool, I don't know if they'll go this far, but like if you do something to like jazz up the audience, I don't know, like do a cool move or like score a point, a little bit like in the Paper Mario battle systems. Like if they award you by throwing item boxes toward your team or something.
That would actually be really cool, and it would be really rewarding for playing like more risky or more showy. That'd be really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a couple of super chats about this. First up, we have actually a super chat about this from Ryan Bourne. Thank you so much, Ryan Bourne. He says, I would like to see the robot team from the first game back as an unlockable or DLC down the road. A nice callback. You know what's funny? I thought they were the lamest unlockable at the time. Like, who are this team of nobody robots? But like now in hindsight, it's like, heck yeah, sign me up. Like they're nostalgic now. Bring back the robot team that we've seen nothing of since.
The next level game's original characters.
Maybe wouldn't it? What if that was the image, the robot image from that Reggie picture from Retro all those years ago? It'll make absolutely zero sense. But we still don't know who that character was, so maybe it was a revamped robot team for this. So
It'll come full circle.
yep.
Should we go through our other super chats? I think we have.
Yeah, we had one more.
a couple of
Real
them.
quick, are there any other thoughts on Mario Strikers before we move on here? No?
No.
All right, I
Guess
think
not.
we're good. Okay, we had another super chat from Elemental Guana, I think, for $5. Thank you so much, who asked, do you think we'll get a Kirby's Dream Collection 2 in honor of the franchise's 30th anniversary this year?
Ooh, that would be really cool, actually.
I love the idea.
If we did, that definitely would get announced in like the second half of the year, since we have Kirby in the Forgotten Land to focus on right now, and I think that's why there was no other Kirby this year. But that would be very nice if we did.
Yeah, I would love it. I thought the first collection was great, and I'm always up for more Kirby, especially if it gives people a way of re-experiencing these games, which can be hard to, surprisingly. Like the I've been on a used game store kick recently. Me and my friend were addicted to it, and I blame the Analog Pocket for bringing it back. And he just picked up the Kirby and the Amazing Maze, right? Is that it? Or
I think it's
the
Amazing
Amazing Mirror.
Yeah.
Amazing Mirror, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is apparently maze-like, I guess. And it's going for $50 these days, at least at the store he bought it from. And it's like, yeah, we need that re-release. Like, that's an excessive amount of money for a game that should probably be more easily accessible without needing a GBA to play it, So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
I know
so I would-
some. I know some of the older Kirby games are put on like the Wii U eShop, for example, but that's also not exactly accessible anymore, to be honest.
No, it's not. And it wasn't even one of the was it one of the ambassador games on 3DS?
It was.
Okay,
The
it was.
Amazing Mirror was.
So I actually do have the game. All right, so I could play without spending $50. All right, good to know. All right, moving on. TJ, what was your favorite announcement of the Nintendo Direct?
My favorite announcement. I mean, I was a bit hesitant at first when they did, but I'm actually really excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I've been looking it over. It felt like sort of like merging the two plots that kind of felt like their own thing into one big grand scale. I was a bit hesitant, but like the more I look at it, it really looks like they have like a solid idea with what they're going for.
And you've been doing a lot of looking at it because you're doing our analysis, and you've probably watched that trailer. How many times would you estimate by now?
I don't even know it. Minimum like 50 to 70. It's
And every time it
sometimes I
improves.
put it on and it just like I forget I'm watching it and then I have to go back and put it on again.
That's awesome. So, is there anything that specifically has stood out to you so far about it that like has you really excited for its potential?
A lot of the characters actually, like I know like the world, it sort of seems I don't really know, I guess, where that falls in things. It could be a mishmash or alternate parallel universe, but a lot of the characters seem really cool. They have really fun designs to them, and like their weapons feel like they're rooted in the world they're supposed to come from, but especially like really with its own twist that kind of makes you wonder what it's gonna be, or I guess how the combat system's gonna play out.
And kind of to that point too, speaking of like how it's going to be, it sounds like you've been like you've been noticing some smaller details that are gonna be tying together soon. Like, have you from your 50 rewatches, have you been enlightened a little bit as to like what exactly may be going on to the story here, or?
Yeah. As much as I love the characters, it does feel like they didn't really say much about them, but like a lot of the details and notes they've said, it's sort of like as I've been staring at it, it sort of feels like they all come together. I know they don't have like English subtitles for it, I ended up using the auto-generated ones they have, so sometimes the words don't match, but there's a few that kind of stand out whenever you look through it and you hear them say it, like Melia mentioning like Ouroboros. It really like stands on its own whenever you look at the sort of all of the actions they're taking in it, sort of refilling clocks, the constant feat of war, saying that they're fighting to live and living to fight is very symbolic to that. It all kind of comes together. So it's really interesting to see because they're really putting it all together in a way that feels like they have everything planned out from both games to make a lot of sense for this.
Got it.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is gonna rely heavily on the story that was laid out in the first two games. So I definitely need to go through 2 at some point. But I am really excited for 3 from what I've seen of it, and I'm actually very much looking forward to your analysis of it.
Did you play the first 2 games at all, Tom? I don't recall.
No, not Xenoblade Chronicles. Too
All right,
daunting
yeah.
at the
Yeah,
time.
no, same here. I was like, oh, do I have 100,000 hours to invest in this game at this point? Maybe one of these days. Some people keep telling me I need to play it, so maybe I'll be motivated with a third one coming up.
They're pretty easy to pick up. I would definitely recommend grabbing one of them if you can.
All right. Well, good to know. I might just do that. And it's coming out pretty soon in September, which I expected it to, I mean, if anything, be later in the year. Like, I mean, it's still later in the year, but not like as late as they typically are, which is around December. So I wonder, are they leaving that, like, is that by design? I mean, obviously, but is there another game coming up in December that they want to get out of the way for, you know? Maybe Breath of the Wild 2, maybe something else hasn't been announced yet. Maybe curious, you know?
Yeah, the fact that it's September is surprising to me because in recent years, Nintendo's kind of made smaller releases be their September title. Not always, but I mean, sure, 3D All Stars arguably is big, but like you had WarioWare, you have like Kirby eShop titles. Like it's been a bit smaller in recent years for the most part. So to see Xenoblade in September is pretty exciting, and I definitely think once we hit the summer, we might start hitting like really good titles like every single month.
Yeah, right. I mean, they already had several announcements here, and it's seemingly not even all of them this year. So, which is it's this so far like things are looking pretty good for 2022. Real quick, Darkbee Andy says, "Nope, knowing you, Andre, Xenoblade is not for you. You'll get bored." All right, well, thank you, Darkbee. Appreciate that. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to circle back to Strikers just real quick. But Gaming Game Z had a comment, and they brought this up that I had the exact same thought, but I didn't have time to go into it in the analysis. Gaming Game Z notes that, or they asked that, was it just me or did the field look smaller in new Strikers, or was it just due to a new camera angle? And I had the exact same thought. Not only did the field seem smaller, we could easily see the entire half on the screen at a time, but I even thought the goals might look smaller too. But it might have been a trick of the camera angle, or maybe the fact that Boom Boom is just bigger, so it makes it look smaller than Critter. Which, by the way, poor Critter out of a job now as goalie. It's not fair. But yeah, I wonder if the field was made smaller to. I just wonder if that is the case or not, because if so, maybe that's going to lend to an even quicker paced game. Which, dear God, help us all. That game's already plenty fast paced enough.
No,
but it might also just be maybe like the lens type they're using. I don't know. It's really hard to say. So
if it's like real sports, it's going to remove all the skill in the game, and it's just going to be clogged in the middle, and everyone's just going to be like clutching and grabbing everyone and like body checking. It's going to slow it down.
It'd be amazing if there were a grab button. Like it'd be just a huge like red card violation, but like you just randomly grab people, just slamming them into the ground,
like slow it down, or like just holding onto their heels. It's more like football at that point.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. All right. I've seen a lot of people real quick. So let me go ahead and move on actually, because I want to tie into something else here. So we already covered all of our favorite announcements, minus Strikers as well. So which makes sense while we just went back to it briefly. That's how I tie it in. Let's go into our most surprising announcements. And I'll go and start with mine this time, because I've seen a lot of people in the chat congratulating you, Tom, on calling this being Nintendo Switch Sports. I did not expect that this time. I did not see that coming at all. And Tom, you somehow predicted this basically, with a slightly different twist. You thought they would tie it into Ring Fit Sports, but you got the essence of it right. Were you also surprised? I guess you weren't surprised by this then, Tom, right? You saw this whole thing happening, and you even in a way called the Ring Fit connection because they're even making use of the leg strap here for the soccer game. So
that's a bit of a stretch, but close. I mean,
stretch like how you win a Ring Fit adventure.
Yeah, that's right. No, basically, I thought for the longest time it seemed like Nintendo wanted to distance themselves from the Wii Sports brand, like any Wii type thing. And I thought, you've sold like 100 million Switches. At this point, I don't think bringing something that was related to Wii at this point is going to cause people to like trade those in and move to PlayStation 5. So, and also like something new into the lifespans. Like honestly, I wanted more Ring Fit, like with the Ring Con, but seeing the sports come back, it seemed to make sense. I mean, it's exercise if you could tailor it in that way. So that's why I made the connection of Ring Fit Sports at the time. So, and we got Switch Sports. So it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be something interesting to play with my friends. Like it's been a long time since doing Wii Sports.
Yeah, I totally missed the club train back in the day. I think it just came at a poor time. I was like kind of over Wii Sports at that point, and I didn't want to, the online wasn't amazing in that game, so.
I didn't hope it was on the Wii U. It was near the end of the Wii U's life cycle. Like it's like, all right, I see what you're trying to do. A bit late to try to do that again.
Was it actually near the end of the Wii U's life cycle? I thought it was earlier than that. Was it 2016?
I'm pretty sure it was 2015 or 16. Yeah.
15. Wow.
The Wii Sports Club came out. It was definitely not in the first half.
Which is absurd considering they even showed it off in the Switch or in the Wii U reveal trailer. They were playing golf on the Wii U. Why did it take so long to get it on the system?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they needed. Maybe that's where they went wrong, Tris. Had they had that as a launch title, maybe that would changed everything. No.
I think that would have made things even more difficult.
Something in a bit of hindsight too, like thinking about it too, maybe subconsciously that they had Skyward Sword HD with motion control, so more willing to try that again. So.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah. I mean, they have been incorporating, it seems like, a little bit more of the Wii era type things, like with motion control and even the Mii's to an extent. Although they are basically removing the Mii's from this game. You can still bring them in, but they're clearly focusing on this new Ninjala type of avatar, which I'm not huge on, to be honest.
Don corrected me, by the way, in chat. Wii Sports Club was actually October 2013. It was announced in the Wii Fit U Direct. So I was wrong there.
I thought it was too. I thought it was earlier than that.
It definitely never took off. It definitely never took off, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
Like the Wii U.
So, yeah. I'm excited to have this back, honestly. I didn't think I would be that excited. You can see my reaction in real time. Like, oh my god, it's Wii Sports. I'm like, what are those avatars? Those aren't Mii's. What? And that threw me off for the rest of it. But now that I've come to grips with the weird new Ninjala avatar things, I'm pretty excited for it to be back. I think at this point, Wii Sports is nostalgic, which is weird to say. It's 15 years old, and I'm excited to be able to play that with my friends and family again. And I hope that they continue to update it. They already announced that golf is coming, but I hope that that's not the end of it. Because, Tom, getting back to your Ring Fit thing, where's archery? There's an archery move in Ring Fit.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect to have here. Like, it'd be even better suited than it was in Wii Sports Resort.
Yep. So, I hope it'll come. They obviously are planning to add more things in over time. I hope it's in the cards at some point.
Yeah.
It's not a card game, Tom.
I know.
Especially since they're looking to add more things over time. That's actually... I mean, Switch Sports was also my most surprising announcement, or the announcement that surprised me the most, rather. And I mean, I'm really liking how it looks, but I do wonder if it would have been better for them to wait until the golf was ready to release it, because to release it in the spring and then I think it's coming out in the spring, and then golf won't be added until like the fall. They said, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of surprising because that was one of the original sports in Wii Sports. That's kind of a big deal. And I mean, sure, there's, if you want to play golf, go play Mario Golf Super Rush or something. But it's a little surprising that they're not just waiting to release it until that's there in it already.
Oh, I think it's ready. We saw it. It looked ready. I mean, granted, that may not actually be the case. But it's clear. I think Nintendo's reached an era, for better or worse, where they've realized now it's actually better to hold back content perhaps and
Yeah.
roll it out slowly over time rather than having it all out there at once. So we can continue to keep engagement up. You have it in the news cycle. You have people being reminded that these games exist and potentially buying it for months, if not years to come. So I think that's more what it's about, because they could have, even if it weren't ready, they obviously could prioritized it to be ready. You know, like they could replace another sport with that instead. And for whatever reason, they chose not to. And I think that's for a deliberate reason, where like having golf there, an original sport back right before the holiday season, is going to remind people like, oh yeah, Switch Sports is out there. I could pick it up for Christmas or something.
That's
know?
true.
So,
and it's one people really want in there. Like
Exactly.
a bunch of people are saying they're going to wait to buy the game until golf is in there, and that's probably the intent, as you're saying too. Like they know that'll be what brings people in. And I saw Eric brought up a good point in chat too, that the online test for Switch Sports is next weekend.
Yep, extremely soon.
that's awesome. I love that. Like that. We had predicted a test fire, not a test fire for Switch Sports. And I'm excited. Like yeah, we'll be streaming that. We'll be there probably all day, just playing Switch Sports like the olden days, and that'll be a lot of fun. I forget. Did they say whether it will be? Is it actual like online? I guess there's actual online multiplayer, right? You're actually playing against other people around the world, or?
I think so. That's what all their other like. I mean, I think it's an online server test. I think that's part of the point behind it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I think it's only available during certain times on each day, so that's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, it definitely is exciting that we're getting that. And it's definitely not the game we ever expected to get this kind of global test fire, test punch, whatever you want to call it.
So, what other sports do we need here, everyone? You know, I talked about how I feel like archery is a big missing component. What else, though?
Cycling was pretty fun in Wii Sports Resort.
I
I thought
hated
the cycling was pretty fun.
It was so like you're using your hands. Like that's not cycling. What is that?
Yeah, but if you make use of the ring con now, you could do some interesting things with that. Like if you have to with the leg strap, do like lay on your back and do the cycling motion, for example.
That's true. Actually, that's a great point.
Like there's
Actually,
a lot you can do with it now.
You just
with the
convinced
Switch
me.
Deck.
All right, bicycling or cycling deserves to be there. I agree.
There you go.
I'm seeing a lot of real quick, because they made 2 donations now. I don't want them to keep donating. I mean, they can keep donating if they want, but I want to address the super chat real quick, just so they don't keep doing it solely for me to read this. Thank you, Clubosaurus Rex, who says, "I'm making a scrapbook full of my favorite gaming memories. I've got everything I need." Well, that's awesome to hear, Clubosaurus Rex. Thank you for the 2 super chats, and I was gonna read it eventually. But yes, thank you for that, and good luck on your video game scrapbook. That sounds awesome. Yeah, cycling. All right, Tris, I'm all about that. It'd be really fun too. Like now I'm picturing like just having a cycling local multiplayer party. Like all your friends are on the ground doing this cycle motion. You're ridiculous. Take that, Peloton.
It'll look like some kind of synchronized swimming act.
A tandem bike.
Tandem bike, yes, you can have team bikes. Oh my god, that would actually be really fun. That would be tandem biking, like tandem bike races. That'd be amazing. So I'm seeing a lot of support for boxing in the chat. I really like boxing in the original Wii Sports.
That was a really fun one back then.
Yeah.
I love in the trailer how they said, "and lightly swing the Joy-Con."
They're all about that, yes. No, don't tell me how to swing, Nintendo.
Don't tell me how not to punch a hole through my TV.
I do what I want around these parts. Andre says, snowboarding for the winter SSX. Like, yeah, that hasn't been a sport in Wii Fit yet, or Wii Sports. It was actually in Wii Fit. I would love if they actually introduced new sports too. I guess they are with volleyball, so that's cool. Yeah. But I love if they went even farther with that. Yeah, add snowboarding or something. You know, you could maybe use a leg strap again, where it can measure your how you're shifting, and it could be a little bit like that VR snowboarding game we're playing, Tom, from the creator of 1080.
Power of snowboarding.
That's it. Thank you.
They could have. They have bowling. They could do curling, and then like a second player has to do the sweeping.
Oh, that would be really cool to make it to do like team sports together.
Yeah,
that would be really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I do have to say one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. I just have to say it for every like motion controlled sports game that was also on the Wii, and that's the fact that the Wii had such a brilliant way of calibrating the controls, where you like in the Frisbee game, which also needs to come back by the way, you just point it at the screen and grab the Frisbee, and that's how we instantly knew where your controller was in relation to the TV. The Switch doesn't have that, so I hope they're able to account for for the calibration to make it a smooth controlling experience overall. Because motion control games cannot, may not be a lot of fun when the calibration's a little bit off. So
Yeah. Thankfully, it's not terrible on the Switch. Like, there's definitely times when it does desync and have issues like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's part of why they want you to do things gently and not go crazy with it, because then you will absolutely send it out of sync.
Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to the Rocket League mode that they're adding, soccer.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit earlier, but that's also really cool. I think that they're adding a seemingly more in-depth mode, because Wii Sports originally was all about simplifying these sports, but it looked like, I didn't take a super close look, but it looked like you actually do control your character in this one, as opposed to having it automatically controlled by the game. And so it seems like there could be even more strategy here than there was in the previous games.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun. I had a quick mode to bring back the whole ring fit angle, have wrestling, and you could like turn and like grapple with people and like squeeze.
Oh my god!
And like go against people.
That could actually be incredible. Like, and it could detect your body lean, with how you move the ring or the leg strap even.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want all this.
Now I'm specifically thinking of like the sumo wrestling in Twilight Princess.
There you go. Or they can bring in goat herding now, also from Twilight Princess.
That's a sport, right?
Yeah.
It might as well be.
All right, let's move on from Switch Sports. TJ, what was your most surprising announcement of the Direct?
I mean, my most surprising is a revisit. But that's mostly just because I wasn't expecting anywhere near as many courses for Mario Kart as they announced.
Yep.
I expected something. If it were DLC wise, I figured it'd be like a small 1, 2, maybe 4, but not everything they're doing. It is. Yeah. I would say though, it is nice to see that they're going to bring back Salmon Run for Splatoon 3.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. Like, somehow that wasn't something I had thought much about, which is sad because it's probably my favorite mode of Splatoon 2. I had a complete blast with it. So I don't know if I just expected it to be there or what. I just never really thought much about it. So it was so nice to see that, yes, it is coming back. And they're seemingly vastly improving it with new enemy types, new bosses, including that crazy-looking Godzilla guy at the end. And whatever else, So I am so stoked for that specifically as well.
Yeah, passing the salmon eggs and stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, and that mode was something I was kind of worried about. That was one of my favorite things from Splatoon 2. So yeah,
I love they can throw eggs, as you said.
Yeah,
it definitely. Yeah, go ahead, TJ.
I definitely think it'll shake things up a lot, because having to do the back and forth commit for eggs, I mean, it was tedious at times, but it also kind of restricted how many they could expect you to turn in, because you'd have to commit to grab them, where now you can actually just kind of like throw multiple at a time. So I think the harder levels can actually be that much harder because they can expect you to do more with it.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, that will definitely affect the balance, because you're no longer like locked into delivering that egg yourself, which is both a good and potentially bad thing, or bad thing in terms of difficulty, as you said, because they can lean into that now and make it so like, oh, this game's just way tougher as a result. So, but like, I'm thinking like, could you do like an assembly line thing where you have the four inklings in the line, you're just chucking an egg to each of them?
I guess.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Wabbit brings up a point in the comments, saying, "I'm kind of upset the Salmon Run is coming back, to be honest, because that means that there's no new co-op mode." And yeah, that's something I actually had predicted in the Direct, that there would be a new co-op mode. So I'm also a little bit disappointed. It could still be announced, but I think the odds of it did vastly drop with Salmon Run returning, and that is a little saddening, just because I'm always about something new. And I would have loved for there to have been a new mode, but with that said, I'd rather Salmon Run to be there than nothing at all. So,
yeah.
I mean, Salmon Run was something that proved to be very successful before, that people really enjoyed. So bringing that back, but doing more and making it even better, I think is a good option. Mm-hmm. Splatoon at this point has always been something that redoing something in a previous game but better has proven successful. 2 has a lot of things from 1 that they took the idea of and made it even better. So I think doing that with things introduced in 2 is a good move here. But it
Right.
definitely would have been nice to see some like brand new things as well. Like other, maybe there'll be other co-op modes. Like I think Andre, you were the one talking about like what if we had like a co-op story mode for
Yep.
Splatoon 3, and there's still, I guess, the potential for
There's
something
good
like that.
potential, actually. Yeah, we
But-
can't rule that out entirely, especially with
Yeah.
the helper character.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope so. I hope we'll see. I mean, they haven't announced everything about this game yet, so there's still
Yeah.
time.
Like a release date.
Yes, but they did say summer though now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty soon. It's I mean, it's already warming up a little bit, so summer's just around the corner. Can't wait
boy.
for that. Oh, did you have something, Tom?
No, it's I was thinking like, did they say which summer? No, just kidding.
Yeah, I guess could be any summer. All right, Tom, what was your most surprising announcement of the direct?
Most surprising. Oh man, didn't we? I still gotta say sports.
Yeah.
If somebody else wants to go right now, like I'll think of something else real quick. But yeah, sports and seeing, or maybe seeing Fire Emblem as a Warriors game. That was kind of surprising. I was just expecting new Fire Emblem, but
Well, again,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, that was, I didn't fully expect them to put out a second Fire Emblem Warriors game, but it seems like they come in pairs now. Like we've had two Hyrule Warriors, we're having two Fire Emblems now, and is this just like an endless cycle, or will we get a new Warriors game at some point, a new like other branded Warriors game?
I guess it just
mean-
depends. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, once this one's out, they'll either have to wait for a new Zelda or Fire Emblem to make a Warriors of, or they'll have to actually move on to another Nintendo IP then.
Right.
But I did want to raise a point when we're done with Fire Emblem Warriors specifically.
Wait, hold on,
'cause
sorry,
how-
real quick. It's a third Fire Emblem Warriors game? Is it?
Not quite. The original Fire Emblem Warriors released on both Switch and 3DS.
Oh, okay, I see what it's
what
at.
it was.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Dark V
Yeah.
Andy had a quick comment too that reminded me. He said, "What about Portal?" That also was pretty surprising to see Portal on Switch after Valve normally is like, "No, we don't want it. We're not interested in Nintendo and stuff." But I guess Nvidia's porting it over with their Lightspeed studio, so having that and co-op on, I believe you can do co-op on one system if you want to. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and $20. $20 for
Yeah,
both of them. That's awesome.
That is a
Two-
really, really good deal.
If you haven't played Portal 1 or Portal 2, buy this package. They are amazing games. Like even if you're not a huge like puzzle person,
Yeah.
I mean they are very puzzle focused. But like it has a great presentation, like a hilarious cast, if you will, and it's just a ton of fun. And the co-op, speaking of co-op campaigns, it has its own exclusive co-op campaign.
Yep.
So definitely a ton of gameplay there. Well more than worth the $20. Like I said before, I will pay $60 just for the original Portal. So the fact to get a game, a game far longer than it, and a co-op campaign for $20, yeah, that's amazing. So
I do want to bring up a different surprising game that wasn't mentioned that I saw chat bring up a few times. I believe it's called Live Alive or Live Alive or Live Alive, whatever it's called. It was a Japanese exclusive game for ages, and then it's getting a complete remaster that's going into international this time. That's a really, really big deal. That game has, I mean, that was one of the things that was trending online after the Nintendo Direct. That people are very, very excited about that, and that is absolutely a surprise. And I guess maybe it shouldn't be, because Famicom Detective Club did so well last year that maybe the reception to that, they're looking at actually bringing over more Japanese exclusive games. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Mother 3, maybe.
we did have, of course, Mother 1 and Mother 2 basically, or re-revealed or re-released on Switch
Yes.
this time, which I was so nice to see, considering the fact that a lot, the director had like quote retweeted the Nintendo Direct, and it's always like, okay, do they actually have something, or are we just looking too deep into it? No, they actually had something this time, which is awesome. So the question is though, do we think that's going to lead into Mother 3?
Maybe eventually.
Makes it possible.
It does feel more possible now than it ever did before, which is a really weird thing to say, to be honest.
It is weird. It is so weird. Like, are we just like hopelessly holding out hope for this game that possibly may never ever come localized, to be localized? I actually just bought the darn thing. I got it right here. A cartridge for it, and been working my way through it. So of course they would announce. If they do announce, it'd probably be because of that, because I just decided to grab it. But I don't know. Like there are elements of the game that that I've heard might be difficult to localize or have, especially in the current climate. So I don't know. It's hard to say whether it may actually happen or not. But I hope that it does, because I think that from what I've heard, it's an amazing game, and yeah, I think a lot of people would love to experience it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting that eventually would be good. But to the original points, people actually bringing it up now. Live Alive is apparently as legendary as Chrono Trigger. So no wonder why it's getting so much love and attention. And I'm definitely wanting to check that one out at some point. That's going to be big.
That's saying something. All right, maybe I do. Even though I'm not a huge JRPG guy, I was a big Chrono Trigger guy. So maybe that's all I need to check this one out. Well, speaking of Chrono Trigger, we got the Chrono Cross remaster announced here as well for Switch, which that might be my biggest surprise. Now that I think about it, did not see that coming. So.
Yeah, that was really surprising to me, and that's not one that I expected. Even though I think there were rumors about that for a while, or some sort of leak about it for a while. So I guess maybe I should have, but it is good to see more attention to these. I kind of wish seeing that now. I wish Chrono Trigger was on the Switch, but that was my immediate reaction. I'm like, oh, that's nice, but now I want Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, the Chrono Trigger is like the. It just feels like the kind of game that, for whatever reason, Square does not want to revisit that. Like they did for the PlayStation, and that was pretty much it. Why not just re-release this game? Well, and the DS, I should say. It's been so long ago now. Yeah, why not re-release this game? Why not let it be available? Like people would pay full price, I think, just to play it again.
Yes, they would.
Yeah. Sad.
Maybe after Final Fantasy VII, they'll tackle remastering or recreating that. Who knows?
Oh gosh.
Can you imagine a full 3D on remake of Chrono Trigger? I mean, if there were ever a game to do it for, I think that would be it. Like that game could be amazing to be reimagined, in a whole new way. But it also seems like the kind of game that's like that might be too daunting. Like they've had enough trouble with Final Fantasy VII, which is a largely linear story. I guess Chrono Trigger is too. But there are parts in the game where you can make decisions that affect other elements, like other big chunks of the game. And it's like, how would you, is that cost effective to remaster in full 3D and everything,
Yeah. Well, if it makes, enough people buy it, they'll do it. So
yeah,
they plan on that.
We have a $10 super chat from Dark B Andy. Thank you, Dark B, who says, I was expecting Andre or Tom to say Portal collections are the big surprise. That was mine. But along with that, I learned they're being ported by NVIDIA Lightspeed Studio. Is that studio NVIDIA in-house? I don't know. Is it?
I don't know how that works. I never heard of them before, Dark B Andy. I guess NVIDIA is a huge company. NVIDIA has a bigger market cap than Facebook now, thanks to Facebook's recent troubles. So, it's possible they have game development studios that they had in the past for Shield and stuff. So yeah, Valve isn't porting it over. It's NVIDIA, and it makes sense with a lot of the Nintendo Switch, NVIDIA Shield type tech in there. So
yeah, and to your point about it being the biggest surprise, it actually was probably my runner-up. I had it on my list as well as being one of the bigger surprises. But I think the hype for sports just elevated that for me over Portal. As much as I love Portal, it's an old game at this point. So
yeah, I'll admit it was right up there with Fire Emblem Warriors. I was just I'm pretty sure TJ, you probably heard me go what or something like that when Portal was announced. No, kind of disbelief. So it was definitely up there.
All right, I think did we cover everyone's most surprising games now? I think we have, right?
I think so.
Okay, well, let's just talk about any other games that stood out to us. Any other announcements that you want to touch on that we haven't yet?
Metroid Dread getting an update?
Yeah, that was. I didn't see that coming. That's also a surprise. So yeah, they added the one-hit difficulty mode, which, oh my god, screw that. I'm never touching that. Not even for fun. That's not fun. That just sounds painful.
No, we're gonna do a video, all of us firing up Metroid Dread at the same time. We'll see who makes it the furthest.
That actually would be pretty fun. You could do that as a live stream. Oh my god. Or just whoever can get to this part of the game first does it, wins.
That could be that could be a long time. That could make Desert Bus look fun.
Exactly.
And you could always have the inverse, first person to die.
That's true. And what else did they add to? I forget what all the.
So they also added the rookie mode, which is
Yeah.
the easiest mode in contrast to the most difficult.
That's more my style.
And yeah, that one's less interesting. But they also said, I
Boss
think
rush.
in April, yeah, they're adding a boss rush as another update later on.
Right.
In rookie mode, did they mention if blocks you normally have to destroy just aren't there?
I don't recall if that was mentioned, but I know what you're
That'd be hilarious. Oh my god. Just call it David Jaffe mode.
I'm pretty sure they call them out again in rookie mode. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Nintendo just won't let that guy live that down. That's amazing. So, all right, I do want the David Jaffe mode now.
Yeah, I think it's at a Metroid, so we can move on to any other games worth mentioning.
Well, speaking of worth mentioning, Kirby in the Forgotten Land, yet once again somehow blowing us away with another new mechanic, or maybe inhaling us away with the mouthful mode, which I love that we inadvertently basically predicted with our customized Kirby intro, where he inhales the GX logo and turns into this big, huge creature. This is hilarious looking, where you can like inhale all kinds of things, or sit on top of all kinds of things, like envelop all kinds of things, like a car, or suck up water and spit it out, or other things I can't remember from the trailer.
It makes me really uncomfortable at times, though. Like there's a few of these that just don't look right, like Cone Kirby or Water Balloon Kirby, where he literally looks like a water balloon. And you see the water sloshing, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Game Z says Kirby is the most cursed image I've ever seen.
Yeah, but the memes with it have been really funny.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the water balloon one though. I mean, even though it looks so weird, it's like the best use of mechanics. Like compared to Pylon Kirby, like I love water balloon Kirby. I think they have light Kirby. They have different things like that. It's gonna be hilarious. Yeah,
no, the mouthful mode actually looks really fun, and I'm really interested in seeing how it gets used for different mechanics. It's specifically just the visual behind the immediate reaction was slight discomfort, but I'm sure I'll get that the first time at moments during the game, but then otherwise it'll be pretty good fun. I've been doing the analysis for that one, and there's some fun things there too, even beyond the mouthful mode. I mean, the fact that you can customize the abilities to make them more powerful or less powerful but more rapid fire, you can tune them to your liking based on what you unlock, and that actually looks really fun too, and there's a ton of other Kirby references within there. And I really didn't think there was anything new they could show off in a trailer that wasn't just, here's a little more of the game. Right. But this is as big and as exciting as the previous trailer was, which I did not think they could one up.
Yeah, no, that was a shock to me. I thought that they had shown off all the main mechanics, not all the copy abilities, of course, and in a sense, this is kind of like another copy ability type thing, but it feels different enough that I didn't expect something of that nature to be announced for the game, and sure enough, they surprised us again. And this is the third trailer for the game, I believe, right? So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, because typically by this point, we're just getting more of what we had already expected. So yeah, I really can't wait to go hands-on with this and try out Kirby for myself now.
Little over a month.
That's right.
It's almost here.
So close, dear God. Anything else? Any other surprises from the Direct that we want to bring up?
I'm surprised that they're making the demo for Triangle Strategy. I think I don't know, I guess how long they planned for the game to go, but for the demo to be 3 chapters long kind of feels like quite a bit, unless one area is a chapter, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna be the case. Seems like it's actually gonna be quite a lengthy demo.
I think
especially since that's soon too. That's not far off. That's what, March 4th, I think. That's pretty soon. That the game itself releases, rather. The demo I think is already available.
Tom, you have a comment?
I was gonna say, aren't they making it so you can continue your save into the actual game if you buy it though?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're trying a strategy where you play so much and you're hooked into the story. Maybe it ends on a cliffhanger that you want to buy the full game after. That's my guess.
It's like the freaking Expanse show I've been watching recently, where every episode ends on the cliffhanger. It's like, well, I gotta watch one more, and then 6 hours later, it's like, what happened to my day? Or my night?
Yeah.
that might be the case. So, yeah, that game, it looks promising. So we will see though when it fully comes out pretty soon, right? In a few weeks.
Yeah. Delphi and Etude in chat says they already played through the demo. It's a solid 4 to 5 hours, and yes, you can continue the game into release.
Oh,
So
thank
that's
you.
awesome.
yeah,
You know what? Another surprise I didn't see coming. No Man's Sky being on Switch.
that's wild. I did not think that would ever happen.
No, and the fact that you can even run on Switch is pretty impressive, actually. Like, dang. So yeah, that looks like I think it's gonna bring it to a whole new audience. Obviously, I think a lot of people didn't play it before, and this is gonna be a chance for them to do so, including myself. I never found the time to check it out before, or I didn't because I didn't have the means to do it. So before, and this seems like a perfect excuse to do so.
Yep.
Definitely.
It looked slightly like a lower resolution in the trailer when I was watching it again today, but it's nice for that team really to go from such a low point at launch to like building back up the community and goodwill, I guess, with everybody, but added in those features that weren't there. And now that like it's a totally different game than at launch, nice to see it on Switch for even better chance for them to get going. Like they had a nice story recently about releasing their first game, Joe Danger, again on iOS, I think, because they had one fan who asked for it, like I believe a dad for a son who had autism or something, and they did it. So I mean, seems like a pretty nice studio.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Any other surprises, everyone, or things you want to touch on in general?
Oh, Klonoa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
TJ, thank you.
Are you a big Klonoa fan then, TJ?
I always liked the mascot. I played a lot of like their games, but I never actually got like around to Klonoa. So I think it'll be really nice to have like an actual capacity to play it now, as opposed to the game just being a niche thing you can hope to find in a store.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm a huge platformer fan, so I totally missed out on the Klonoa game somehow. This is gonna be my chance, I think, to revisit them. I've been kind of on more of a platformer kick recently, so I'm glad this is coming in at the right time for me.
Do we have a release date for that one, or was just like sometime later this year?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say that means we
happy
have
we're
it.
getting it.
It came and went so fast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Remember.
There was a lot in that direct. I know. I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to fully rewatch the entire thing. I may never at this point. But yeah, there was a lot. I mean, it's impressive how much they had going on there. And I guess this might be a good time to start wrapping things up. And I have to say, like, talking about more again, like I was hyped initially. I thought it was really good. Then a couple of points like stood out to me afterwards. My hype definitely dropped a bit. But like revisiting everything in full now, I'm like, all right, that actually was a like very solid direct. So if we had to give it a rating, I know I think we may have rated it during it, but like now that we've had more time to sit on it, let's give it a letter grade. How do you think the direct was from F to A, along with pluses and minuses? What do you think? Let's start with you, Tom, since you're entertained already.
Yeah, I'm like, how does this convert from a number score to a letter? Jeez, like I had
never know what
8
yep.
for
Keep
my
on your toes.
prediction out of 10. I'm going B. I'm going B because tons of games I will buy and play,
Yep.
but none of those like huge Zelda, Metroid Prime 4 type titles for me. Some people probably will like those, but for the type that I'm really into, those weren't there.
Okay. Tris?
I'll go A- because what was here, there were some really solid things here. I mean, you have new Fire Emblem Warriors, you have more on Splatoon, more on Kirby, big on Mario Kart. Like there was a lot here, like Earthbound. Like there were some good things. It didn't have as much that wowed me in like as previous directs did in terms of new reveals. But I think what they did have was honestly very solid, like updates on games that were needed and generating more excitement for those things. But there were a few things I wanted to see here, so I'm gonna say A-.
Are you okay? Yeah, that's a really good score still. So,
It has been very solid though.
Are you even a Xenoblade fan too? Or
Yeah. Well,
you are.
one,
Okay, good.
I didn't play 2, so I'm a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I look forward to references in that. I need to eventually go through 2 before this one though.
Yeah,
but
because...
Mario Strikers and other big and Xenoblade 3, those are big exciting reveals. Yes.
Yeah, we did get those are the 2 big reveals I'd say, or Strikers and Xenoblade more so even. for at
Fire
least
Emblem
for the
Warriors is
audience.
also pretty big, but yeah.
Is it? I mean, I didn't mean. I'm not judging the game. I just feel like Warriors games at this point, like, are those big announcements these days? Maybe.
I think for fans of Three Houses, it's definitely pretty big that they get more of that world, which normally Fire Emblem does not do.
That's true.
So-
That actually is a good point. So that is a fair point that we are getting an expansion. Oh, not full. You know what I mean? Like a expanded look at that world that people really enjoyed. So
I'll say really quick. It is A- for me though, just because there were a lot of things that appealed to me specifically. Is why I still rate it highly.
It's all the Mario Kart 8 DLC.
It's
be honest.
no, it's Mario Kart. It's Mario Strikers.
Yep.
The fact that they still had surprises with Kirby. Honestly, the reason why I wouldn't go higher is because the Switch Sports section, while as neat as that is, that felt like a long section. The Switch Sports, I was still trying to process what was going on there. Meanwhile, they're playing volleyball. Like, okay.
TJ heard me complaining that the Strikers seemed like the longest section. I'm like, how long is this?
That also felt longer than it needed to. Like the pacing this direct could have been better. So if A- is too high, then maybe B+, but around that range.
You know, maybe I'm just burned from the Game Awards. I thought the pacing was totally fine for this one. I don't think any single segment felt too long for me. I thought it had really good pacing. But TJ, how about you? How did you feel about it, and what would you give it as a score?
I was honestly thinking an A- too myself. I'm really excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It just looks really good. It seems like it's in the similar engine, so it'll feel nice regardless of what they do with it. The Kirby game, I've been so excited for another Kirby game that I just can't wait for it. The new abilities look like pure meme fodder. It'll be really funny to see what people do.
Yes, it will be. It seems like so far our comment or our reviews have like lined up with the chat. I've seen a lot of A's and B's, A- in there. I see Cody in there with an A-. So I think for myself, obviously this is a personal score. Like if I were a Xenoblade fan, I think this would have been an amazing direct. So it would probably been A-. Since I haven't played these Xenoblade games much at all, for me I'd rank it as a B+. I think it was overall like just a really good direct. It had a lot of stuff that appealed to me personally, and even if the other announcements that may not have, I still respect that they're there, obviously. So I think that was a really good direct overall, and I give it a B+ for myself. So good stuff. So I think it was a good way to open the year, largely. We now have a better idea of what's coming up for Nintendo. We had some good third-party announcements there as well. Like, it had just a really good overall balance. And it's clear that the Switch is still going strong 5 years in, as we knew from the sales figures, with no signs of it stopping down. Like, if anything, the Mario Kart 8 DLC, really cements not just Mario Kart's game plan, it cements Nintendo's game plan. The current Switch isn't going anywhere. You know, they're going to keep supporting this for at least 2 more years, and probably beyond that. So any final thoughts, everyone, before we fully wrap it up here?
I'm just sad there was no Mario Party DLC.
I was actually that's one question I want to address. What was the biggest thing missing here that we thought might be here for you, Tris? Obviously, Mario Party DLC.
Yep. Because to me, it's the fact that it wasn't here. Now, obviously, they also proved in this direct with Mario Kart DLC, anything can come at any point. They can revisit the games whenever they want. But the fact that Mario Kart DLC wasn't here tells me, or even indication of it, when Hyrule Warriors, for example, last year, they announced it months in advance before we even seeing anything of it. I kind of feel like it may not happen now, and that's a little disappointing. I'm so hopeful they might announce it at some point within the next 6 months, but we're running out of time from when it could be announced and still be successful.
Be successful. You throw that in because it could be 2 years later, like the last one. But
yeah,
that's true. You gotta have faith, Tris. I have faith. It may not be as on the short timetable as I thought it might have been originally. I do think though by the end of this year we will see at least some DLC for the game, because it's a great way, kind of like what they're doing with Switch Sports with adding golf before the holidays. I mean, it might make sense to have a similar timing for Mario Party. So I would legitimately be shocked if we don't see any DLC for this game. Granted, I expected the same of Mario Party Superstars, and we never got any proper DLC for it in the forms of new content. But I mean, I think it would be silly not to inject this game with new content ahead of the holidays, perhaps. especially with how successful it's been so far, and the fact that it would be yet another point in the expansion pack's favor, which we didn't really touch on too much. But the fact that we now know that that they are adding new expansion packs thanks to Mario Kart, or rather new expansions to the expansion pack thanks to Mario Kart, is a really good sign and really adds a lot of value to that. And Mario Kart continues a trend like that. The expansion pack is actually turning into an amazing deal, I think.
Yep. And I almost think, because I know a bunch of people were saying, oh, like it's just Animal Crossing originally. I almost feel like if the expansion pack had announced with Animal Crossing other games with it, as many theorized,
They should have. Yeah.
If they just said they will continue to support it with that alone would have kept people really excited and waiting, and getting it just so they can learn what it'll be.
It almost makes you wonder if is this a reaction to the fallout from what people have thought of the expansion pack? Like, did they only plan to have Animal Crossing originally, and now they're scrambling? Like, oh god, we better add some more value there. So,
I definitely could be, but I do feel like Mario Kart was planned from the get-go to be part of this because of how successful it is. They want those numbers on that, right. As many as they can get.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so Mario Party was also my main surprise that was missing here. So I'll go with another before I forget, because Chat mentioned it. In fact, Chat didn't even mention it. Batman himself mentioned it. I think he did, or at least he reminded me of it. In any case, oh yeah, he says, don't forget about me, people. Exactly. Where was Batman? Like, I thought like that had just been leaked a few days before. I thought for sure that was going to tie into a Nintendo Direct announcement, and now it's making me almost question the whole thing. I think it's still on the way. I'm just really surprised it wasn't here, though.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joey was saying the same thing. And to those wondering, we had mentioned before, but Joey just had a baby, so he's, with family and everything. But yeah, Joey was like the one thing he really wanted to see that wasn't here was Batman.
Yep. Too bad. His dreams are crushed. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to Tom. Yep. What did you expect the most that wasn't here?
I'd kind of expect and a little bit of a surprise. So two things. One, I kind of expected GoldenEye to maybe make an announcement. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that's going to be held for later on, or maybe there'll be some sort of, maybe Microsoft will announce it, and then it'll just quietly be on Switch after. And because with all the rumblings about that, but obviously some things take time, like even Batman, which was more obvious, that wasn't here. And the other thing, because we didn't really talk about Advance Wars. I was watching the trailer again, true. And it's like
release date,
and there'll be voice acting. I'm like, oh no, am I gonna like this voice acting, or is this gonna get real annoying over time? I guess I'll find out and hope there's maybe an option, if there is, to turn it off. But they have custom maps in that too, so that was nice to see.
Yeah, Nintendo does have a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to voice acting, so hopefully this teeters on the better end of the spectrum rather than some of the others. Yeah. So, but hey, that's also around the corner, April 8th, less than 2 months away at this point. So, which is really exciting. Which is pretty much exactly 2 months away from when they had announced it. So, or not announced it, but shown it off recently. Yeah. TJ, how about you? What were you expecting here that didn't appear?
For me, I was expecting something more, I guess, traditional Fire Emblem. Honestly, I not like against any of the Warriors games. I'm sure they're really fun. It's not personally my cup of tea, though. I really would have liked to see like the more tactics Fire Emblem, regardless of whatever they did. If it was, though I doubt they'll do more DLC for Three Houses, just something to sort of pass the time or sate that hunger of sort of the tactics, whether it's an Echoes or a new plot.
I wonder if there's potential, and Stalmia, they already did this in Fire Emblem, if there's a way to better marry the mechanics of Fire Emblem with Warriors, where you retain the strategy, like, map view, but then whenever there's a skirmish, that's when it switches to like a warrior style of gameplay. So maybe instead of like controlling single units, you're controlling like armies at a time or like groups of people, and then that's when when they engage, that's when you start like an actual like warrior style battle. Could that work if they didn't do something like that in the first one? But I don't think they did, but
I think it'd be tough. I mean, from a visual standpoint, it'd be kind of the same as like how Three Houses handled the battalions. You go into the battle and you have the battalions in the background. But I don't know how, I guess, instanced versions of those, because it might be like, because Warrior games, you're kind of supposed to just like, if it's not the big threat, you're kind of just slashing through enemies to
Right.
get where you need to go. So it might not fit that so well, and it might also become a nightmare for like damage calculations.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. That might complicate things. That's a good point.
I think it's entirely possible that they might be waiting on Fire Emblem because of other tactics games they had this year between Advance Wars, and then they're also publishing Square Enix's Triangle Strategy. Like, they might just be waiting a bit because there was actually a fair amount of tactics games in here. Wasn't Front Mission 1 and 2 also? Aren't those also tactics games?
Yeah,
There was a lot. There was a lot of tactics in here, which is actually really good for fans of those. But
Yeah.
maybe there's things for Fire Emblem fans to wait with, basically.
Where's our Mario Warriors game? I think that would be hilarious. Just ridiculous violence in the Mushroom Kingdom as you're bowling down Mario or Goombas and Koopa Troopas or Marios. I don't care. The team of Marios just take them down. I think that's what's disappointing me about Fire Emblem Warriors. Like, we've already seen how that works. So, like, let's try a different style of warriors, right? I still want my Pikmin warriors.
Yep.
Think that has potential. Where you play as the bad guys and you have to take down like armies of Pikmin.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
All right. I think we're winding down here, clearly. Any final thoughts, everyone, before we fully wrap it up?
This is a good way to start the year.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's only the beginning of the year. We're only like just entering the second month. There's still a whole lot more to go.
There is. Yeah.
Fantastic
Tom?
start. Fantastic
All right.
start. Someone said, "Where's the Mario movie?" Well, I guess Mario movie will just have to wait for a bit later.
Yeah, that is probably the most disappointing thing in terms of things. I wasn't, I didn't really expect that much to be here, but was really hoping they'd be here. I really wanted to see the Mario movie, but the advantage or the good thing is now we can keep predicting it for the next few directs because
That's right.
it has to show up eventually. At least in, I would think in a direct possibly, but who knows? With the movie they could just do its own thing. But yes, we'll be seeing that at some point this year, and I can't wait because I need to. I need to know what Chris Pratt sounds like as Mario. How does that work? I don't get it still, but I'm curious to find out. Anyways, on that note, everyone, that is our live discussion of the Nintendo Direct 48 hours after the fact. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned for tons more coverage from the Direct. We have more analysis coming. Who knows what else? Other things coming. We've had a ton of comparison videos already. And make sure to check out my Strikers analysis if you haven't already, which went super in depth on what to expect from that game. Otherwise, thank you again for watching. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll catch you up later for more live discussions and other videos too. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.